Hey guys, it's Kevin from the New Warehouse Podcast. I am in Austin, Texas, and I'm here at the William Murray Golf HQ, and I'm joined by Aaron from William Murray Golf, George from Manifest.eco, who is their 3PL. So today we're going to dive into exploring the relationship between an e-commerce brand and their fulfillment provider. And we're right on the cusp of Black Friday, Cyber Monday here. So we're going to talk a little bit about their peak season relationship and how that works as well. But first, I think we want to explore the William Murray Golf HQ here, see what they got to offer. So, Aaron, why don't you kind of take us around a little bit?
Let me show you guys around.
All right.
We're located right in the heart of Austin, Texas, right in the heart of downtown. We have a beautiful space out here. Small but mighty team, so we try to have a lot of fun. So you'll see like the pitching green. Yeah, so we are Bill Murray and his brother's golf apparel brand. So all the prints are going to be very unique. Everything's going to be based off of either, some of the movies that Bill's been in or stories from the Murray family's background. So this one's a classic spin of the Cubs jersey.
I think it's both Chicago guys, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Lifelong Cubs fan.
I think the big thing is the name of it, right? This is the year, because that's how I feel at the start of every season.
But tell us a little bit too, I mean, from the Black Friday perspective, because you guys have this fulfillment partner here, right, in George and Manifest.eco. Now, how does that relationship work around Black Friday, right? How do you, understand, you're coming out with this new line, you're going to be pushing it for that Black Friday, Cyber Monday, as most e-commerce brands are looking to do around that time. How do you make those communications to the 3PL, and how do you ensure that, they're prepared for what's coming?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to go about it. I think for me, the way that I've always approached Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or peak season in general, is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think that the planning begins months ahead. I think a lot of times the downfall that certain brands or certain organizations will see is they'll approach Black Friday where it's like, okay, we're heading into October. Next month is Black Friday. Let's start planning now. I think early in my career, that's kind of how I approached it. And I realized, that always leads to a scramble, right? So I think for us, the communication starts, I would say, the day after Black Friday last year ends, right? I think we do that post-mortem. I think we did that last year. And no Black Friday season is ever perfect. I think you guys did an outstanding job. I think we were never under 90% in terms of outbound fulfillment during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which is an incredible stat. And I think that, that post-mortem post last year, we kind of started talking about, okay, what could we have done differently this year? I think we did have that conversation internally from the WMG side, but also with Jen and Cole and the rest of the Manifest team. And we started talking about, okay, what went wrong? What are we going to shift and adjust for next year, right? We kind of put that in the back of everybody's mind for a couple of months, right? It's like, okay, let's start thinking about things from a high level. And then as we kind of approach, I think the summer of this year is where we started really planning, is we have a lot of wholesale stuff that's going to be like high volume, for example, that we ended up shifting to a different strategy where we did a pack and hold on a lot of that stuff to kind of get it out of the way. That way we're not touching wholesale when it comes to November, December. Those things are ready to go. We just got to get a truck in to pick them up. I think outside of that, it's constantly evaluating our forecast accuracy, forecast bias. I think early in the year, we share our forecast with the team, and then on a rolling basis, evaluate it. See, okay, how close are we hitting our forecast? How realistic is it? Trying to dwindle that down as much as we can. I think heading into October of this year, I think the forecast that we're able to share with your team has been pretty spot on. So I think we have a high level of comfort in that now. And then from an inventory keeping standpoint, it's rolling cycle counts are going to be a big part of it. I think we have a very large collection in terms of our items in our catalog, and it's upwards of 5,000 unique SKUs. So it's a lot to manage. And I think that kind of getting ahead of the game in terms of an inventory keeping standpoint is going to be the game changer. I think the team works really well, right? I think you have an outstanding team on the floor who knows what they're doing, but if the product's not where it's supposed to be and it's not, restocked, then that's going to be the bottleneck during peak.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It's, fundamentally, Manifest is all about partnership, communication, and transparency with all of our merchants. It's so amazing to work with merchants like Aaron and WMG that are both very strategic. You started planning for peak season in the summertime. And then we get into holiday season, and then we can get tactical where it's necessary. But the need for that, I find, when you are as strategic as you and your team are, is less so in the holiday season. There really isn't anything that comes out of the woodwork to surprise us. And if it does, the communication and transparency really comes in and solves the problem a lot quicker than it might otherwise. So nothing on our end really changes in the relationship, just perhaps the velocity and frequency of communications between us and WMG and Aaron and his team.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's such a great thing that you guys are able to have that relationship and have some of that flexibility and fluidity in the communication as well. And I think that we're going to head over to Manifest.eco as well, right? And check out what's going on there and how they fulfill some of your orders and also how they get things done on the ground in preparation for Black Friday and just year round whenever that peak season may be and where we see that spike in orders. All right, so we just got a tour of the William Murray Golf HQ here in Austin, Texas. We got a little sneak peek, a little preview, what they're doing for the new season and also Black Friday prep as well. And now I think we're gonna head over to Manifest.eco, check out the operations there and see how they actually deliver on that Black Friday plan as well. But question, George, how are we gonna get there?
Well, I got us a van, a Sprinter van, and check it out, our logos on this van. So that was cool. Now we're on our way to San Marcos, which is where Manifest's fulfillment center is. You know, we're 15 months away from it being the world's first zero impact, carbon negative fulfillment center. So I'm really excited to show you guys around what we've built and what we're building.
Awesome, yeah, excited to see it definitely and see what that's all about. I've heard a lot about it, right, from you and just in general, all the content you guys put out there. So I'm excited to get there in person myself and see how you do everything. But I'm curious, as we're on the way over to the operation, we just saw the William Murray Golf HQ. I'm curious, Aaron, tell us a little bit about kind of the decision to outsource fulfillment versus doing it in-house, and how did that kind of lead to the relationship with Manifest.eco in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. About a little over a year ago, decided to make the shift. I think the conversations began a lot farther before that. I think operationally things were starting to fall apart at our previous 3PL. SLAs weren't being hit. Inventory was all over the place, like the team over there. It just wasn't a good fit from a partnership perspective. I think that we briefly entertained in-house fulfillment. I think that's something that, every organization would love to be able to do. I think I've had the fortunate opportunity to have done that in previous lives, and I think it made more sense for us to find a partner that aligned with us than to do it ourselves. I think we went through a several-month vetting process. That RFQ probably had about 10, 15 different options on there. When we met with George and the Manifest team, I think it was from that first call, it was a little bit different. I think every call during the RFP, I think it was very much a tone of, hey, it's a cookie cutter fit. What's your volume look like? Here's our metrics. Here's our pricing sheet. But it was never a conversation about strategy, alignment from a brand's perspective. And that first call with Manifest, they really heard us. I think we had a couple follow-ups, obviously, and I think that from that first interaction, our teams began meshing together really well, and I think it's only unfolded into more of just that.
I appreciate you saying that, and I think that's a major difference in the approach that we take.
Yep.
We take a real prescriptive approach to understanding the needs, the problems, the pain points of every potential merchant that we could be working with. It's almost like a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, can we solve these issues for them? I think so often I've seen in this industry, fulfillment companies think that they have this box. It's a service box and it says fulfillment on it. And it doesn't matter what type of fulfillment you need, we're going to stuff it in the box.
Yeah.
And that's primarily what leads to a lot of unhappy relationships and pretty regular turnover of merchants moving from one fulfillment company to the next. I think the average is like 1 year and 3 months, 1 year and 5 months. So it's like we were in it to win it. We wanted to make sure that we could solve all your issues and that our business could make money doing so.
Absolutely.
We're not going to overpromise, underdeliver, because then the result's going to be very predictable and no one's going to be happy. So,
and I think the thing that we appreciated off the front end was your team's genuine curiosity in terms of how we operated. And I think that the fallacy behind fulfillment in general these days is I think that everybody sees logistics and fulfillment as, hey, you just take a product and put it in a box. It goes so much farther beyond that from a execution standpoint.
Yeah, and thank you for you and your team having faith. Like when we first engaged, we didn't have the NetSuite set up to our WMS. Having the patience and the trust for us to work through that and make sure that solution was in place. I don't know if too many companies would have that same level of patience, but you believed in us and we believed in the relationship and in you, and we got it done.
Yeah, I know, and I think it's all about part of having that conversation at least, right? I think that nowadays there's too much of an expectation of, hey, like you work with XYZ client, you were able to onboard them in this amount of time, why are we not the same?
Yeah.
And it's like, because your business is different, you know what I mean? It's, I think we were fortunate enough to have the timeline to be able to get everything done in time, but it's, it's a big portion of it is like having those conversations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about, from that transition, I mean, now, how big of a difference is it for not just you and your role as Director of Ops at William Murray, but also the business as a whole now to have a partner in Manifest.eco that's allowing you to, hit those SLAs now and, make such a difference in the fulfillment side?
No, I think that for us, we operate very customer-centric. At the end of the day, if our customers aren't happy, then we're not happy, right? And I think a large portion of that is getting that product to that customer on time, and it being the correct product. And I think that the Manifest team has knocked that out of the park for us. I think SLAs are as good as they've ever been, as good as I want them to be. And then from the team perspective, I think that we expanded our team by partnering with Manifest. I think that at the end of the day, we don't see them as just like a vendor, or just our warehouse 3PL, right? They truly are an extension of our team. Sean, who works on our operations team, is down at the warehouse on site, I'd say once a week, and we've been able to, through that, gain a lot more of a close relationship with them. And I think that it's benefiting both sides. I think they're learning how we operate on a more in-depth level, and then we're understanding the true capacity and limitations or bottlenecks that they might be going through, so that we're keeping our asks very realistic, right? I think that we want this to be a true partnership, not a, hey, we need to get this done by this date, without having an understanding of what's actually happening on the floor out there.
Yeah, it's a bit cliche, but communication is key. And, we tell our team all the time at Manifest, if we're not the last 3PL that the merchants who are currently working with us need, we're not doing our job. We've been in business now 3 years, and it's literally been 100% client retention. So this critical supply chain partnership positioning philosophy that we have is working, and thank you for validating that with your experience.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about that too, because you said you guys are on site at Manifest.eco once a week almost, right? And I know we talked before in the past too, like about how much you like to visit and dig into that stuff, and that's not something you necessarily hear all the time between these fulfillment partnerships, right? So I guess maybe George, tell us a little bit about what's that like, and how do you enable a brand like William Murray to be able to come on site and really have an understanding of the operation and kind of what goes on there, and just kind of solidify that relationship even more?
Yeah. Well, first, it's a delight anytime Aaron or Sean stops by, or anybody from any of our merchants. We love our merchants, and we are genuinely and legitimately vested in their success. I tell people all the time, we're not building this business. Our merchants who are trusting us with this, providing this service to them, are the ones that are building Manifest.eco. It's pretty simple. I mean, I think that we all go to work, our merchants go to work every day, we go to work every day with the same goal, which is the execution of getting the products that our merchants are developing and selling into the consumer's hands. So when anybody stops by, or any merchant stops by, it's a happy thing. We're happy to see them. We're happy to catch up on things that maybe you don't talk about when you're on Slack or email, and get their read on how is your experience going? How is the fulfillment happening? And also get their take. A lot of times they'll have insights. Aaron comes to mind. He has a lot of insights. Sean, Sarah Valinsky from a company called Blossom, they'll come by the FC and they'll be like, well, actually, love that you guys are doing this and everything's going great, but here's my suggestion. And that helps. And that helps us do our job better, which feeds into our mission of being the last 3PL any of these merchants will ever want to work with.
building.
There we
There
are.
we go.
Let's do this. Coulter.
What's up, George?
See you, man.
Good to see you.
Meet my friend, Kevin.
Kevin, nice to meet you, sir. Aaron, good to see you. Yes, sir.
Guys, this is Manifest. We're so excited to show you around. Coulter is the GM of this facility. You've been with Manifest for over
2 years.
Over 2 years now.
yeah.
You've got a deep background in fulfillment, and it's definitely been of enormous value to what we've built.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
So you want to lead us on to a tour?
Absolutely, come with me. Right here to our right, gentlemen, we are passing what's called our bulk order processing area. This is where we kind of build some of our best outbound efficiencies. We take a look at all like orders. We try and pair those together, and we try and pack them out assembly line style as opposed to tote by tote or order by order. It helps us really ramp up efficiency. It's a critical part of the operation. And in fact, I think we're seeing just over about 60% of all of our outbound volume flows through this department. Maybe not the best looking part of the operation, but nonetheless a critical part of the operation. You see all that cardboard over there? That's not just gonna go into a garbage dumpster on the outside of the building. All this stuff is collected, and we have a pickup with a local company called Break It Down twice a week. They come, they take all this, they have recycling streams for every single thing that we use here, including all that plastic, right? Okay, so we've made our way to kind of like the traditional pick and pack lanes here. So everything that comes down these lanes finds its way into its own individual tote, right? Every one of these totes is a unique order for a unique customer. The way that these are processed is, I call it supermarket style. So somebody's out in the aisles, they have a shopping list that our WMS system generates, they go shop, they drop it off up here at our pack stations, which are kind of like the registers at the front of a grocery store. They will scan one of those items, they'll scan every item in there for quality control. Assuming everything is correct, they're gonna pack it into a box, they're gonna generate a label, a pack slip if applicable, and then they're gonna send it down this little conveyor and it will go get sorted with the rest of our outbound mail. Every year that we go into peak season, we think about, obviously we use historical data first, right? What did we see last year, the year before, so on and so forth. And we have to create some kind of internal forecast around it, right? That typically includes expanding this area. So it's almost adjacent to the point that I just made. We try and maximize efficiency and have as few stations as possible. Now we're thinking about, okay, how many stations are we going to need at full, volume, right? To maximize our throughput here. I guess one of the most critical components is forecasting, right? We're looking to merchants like Aaron to provide us the best forecasting possible, which is really just share your marketing calendar. What are you doing and when are you doing it? That helps us not only use that historical data, but all the new data that we have at our disposal to try and create some accurate predictions so we can staff accordingly, get the right infrastructure in place so we can have a successful peak season. Yeah.
So now you're talking about, the morale and kind of the core there and what you do to incentivize these employees, right? And a lot of operations during this time of year, they look at flexible workers or temp labor.
Sure.
Do you do any of that? I guess is the first question. If you do, how do you start to bring them in and, get them to embrace that morale and that culture that you've already established here?
So I'm glad you already asked that. Yeah, we absolutely utilize temp labor and seasonal labor. Okay. We definitely lean towards the seasonal option, right? Those folks actually get an employment contract. They're not just temp staff. That's how we get them to buy in, right? There's also the thought that if we like some of these people, we're going to convert them to full time. And so we always keep an eye out for top talent. We have a code of conduct we talk through every time we hire someone. We've got safety protocol, all the things that you would expect from any business, right? We have to set a certain expectation of how you need to perform, how you need to conduct yourself. So we go through that. But I guess the main thing is, how do you buy into the culture? How do you buy into everything? I think I take a pretty lax approach as far as just my own personal conduct. It's a warehouse, right? I want to set the precedent that you can be yourself as long as
we're hitting our numbers, we're hitting our expectations of all of our merchants, right? That's what I want to ensure. So as long as you don't, as long as you're able to hit all of your required KPIs, we can be cool, right? We can listen to whatever music we want. We can kind of just, have a good vibe going here.
Coulter, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
So great
Yeah.
to see this operation, to show our guests around. We'll let you get back to it.
Thank you, sir. It was very nice to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you too, definitely. Love to see a great warehouse here on the New Warehouse podcast as well. So appreciate the tour and great to see this operation.
Absolutely. Much appreciated.
That was great.
Thanks for
Coulter.
Likewise. We'll see you around.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Let's go head over to the account management side, meet some of the account executives.
I think Aaron has also described you guys as the secret sauce too. I think I heard him say out there. So why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about, how do you put the importance on that relationship with the merchant, deliver on that high satisfaction for the merchant?
I think it's about the partnership, and Aaron, the best thing about our relationship is how closely we work together. You guys are local, we can spend time in person and really understand what we've got going on. We were just talking about the forthcoming migration of systems with NetSuite, and part of the reason it's going to work and happen the way it is because we're able to speak closely and understand your needs and work together.
Absolutely, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think, I've said this time and time again that, I truly consider you guys an extension of the William Murray team, not just like a partner that we work with. I think, Jen and the rest of the team and yourself know our product and our processes.
Yep.
At this point, after a little over a year of working together, just as good as our team does in those four walls over downtown.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for coming in. This has been really wonderful to show you both around. Aaron, I know you've been here many, many times before, but it's always great to have you in the warehouse. And Kevin, thank you for being willing to come on by and say hi to Manifest and see what we've built. And let's stay in touch and keep track along the way. We have big ambitions and creating a new standard in e-commerce fulfillment. So we're going to keep you updated on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing me in. I love to see a good operation, but I love to see operation that's also pushing things forward with sustainability, on human touch as well that we just talked about, and keeping that relationship strong with the merchants. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. So thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you in Austin again.
Definitely.
Yeah.